Hello and welcome back to the How to Mix a Gig series, where I'm taking you through my workflow when I'm mixing a small gig in a small venue. I'm Andrew and this is Offshore Audio, so welcome. In this video we're going to take a look at setting up on the stage, so just getting microphones in place, monitors and that sort of stuff. And if you've not seen any of the previous videos, I'll link to them down below as well. Without further ado, let's jump in.
Okay, so we need to take a look at the stage now. We need to get everything set up. There's no band or band equipment here because of various events in the world at the time of filming. So we've had to improvise a little bit. I've just set up some microphones and things to give you an idea of what you should be doing. So let's take a look. We've got our vocal microphone here. We might have several vocal microphones. What I've done is I've set out a stage box here at the front of the stage, because maybe we're going to have 3 or 4 vocals across the front of the stage, and I don't want cables going all the way across everything back to the stage box back there. So I've just used an analog stage box here so that I can carry maybe all 4 vocals, or maybe there's guitar pedals and things here as well. Maybe there's synths, samplers, anything from the front of the stage. I'm now transporting back using this analog stage box back to the digital stage box, which is behind that curtain that we looked at earlier. Let's talk about the monitor setup versus the microphone setup. Obviously, we want to make our singer comfortable wherever they are. I'm using a regular SM58 here, right? And it's a cardioid pickup pattern. Here's a tip. Cardioid microphones obviously pick up from the front and reject from the back. So the best position here for this monitor is actually directly behind the microphone. Pro tip, if you're using beta microphones, like Shure Beta 58s, they look very similar, but they have a little blue around the grill and they'll say Beta 58 on here. They're actually hypercardioid microphones, and their best area of rejection of sound is actually slightly to the side. So in that example, you could, for instance, move your monitor slightly to the side to get better rejection from that type of microphone. But really what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're connecting everything securely, that it's securely twisted in up here, it's sitting securely in the stand. The microphone stand here is very tight and secure, and similarly down here, wherever it's on the other side around here, the dial that screws the legs in is secure down here. We don't want anything slipping or falling while someone's performing. Okay. Similarly at the back here, I've set up a guitar microphone here, an SM57, to pick up this radio, which we're going to pretend is a guitar amp. I've just wound the cable slightly around this mic stand here, and then along past the amplifier towards the stage box. Keep it out of the way, keep the microphone nice and close to the grill. You don't want to be picking up stage sound, and positioning is important too, but if you're new to this, you can experiment with that. Let's talk about DIs. So you're going to want to use DI boxes on things like maybe bass or maybe keys. So let's have a look at what we've got here. It's an active DI box, so it requires phantom power, right? You plug your bass in and it converts the signals such that you can take it into the mixer and the preamp. I've got an article that you can read that explains DI boxes a little more in detail, so you can check that. I'll link that in the comments. If we look at this here, you see I've got inputs, link, unbalanced output, and balanced output. We're taking the balanced output of this DI into the stage box because that's the one we want. The input here is where our bassist will plug in, come right out of that bass guitar into this DI box. And the link here is a jack cable that I've set up. It's just sitting over here. And what we can do is we can take that and plug that into the bassist's amplifier. Now we get a clean signal straight from the bass via our DI into our mixer no stage sound included. And the bassist also gets to use their amplifier. So they can use that as sort of a personal monitor and keep monitor volumes down. A little note as well on setting out the cables. I've neatly coiled the cables with most of the length at the bottom of the microphone stands that they're sitting at. Why have I done that? I've done that so that if the vocalist or the guitarist or anyone knocks something on the stage, or the vocalist goes running into the audience, they have the length at their end. They're not going to be pulling anything over. So next up, what we want to do when we get the band in is we want to introduce ourselves to them. And we want to get their names. Write them down if you can't remember them. I'm dreadful with names. I always write them down. Even better, if you have a writer, read their names beforehand and write them down so that you know who everyone is. Really helps if you can address people by names. Artists, bands just want to feel comfortable when they're performing. And then we can head to the desk and we can set up our desk by labeling it, turning phantom power on for our DI, for instance, and color coding, setting up DCAs and any effects that we want. But other than that, once we've got everyone on the stage, we want to make sure as well that they have enough power. I've not set up power here because I needed to use it for all these lights, but it's a good idea to make sure that there are enough power outlets, both at the front of the stage and at the back of the stage, so that no one's asking you for power. When someone wants to plug something in, they should be able to. And at this point, we get the band in, and it's time for our line check.
So hopefully you found that helpful. One thing I have not covered in that was setting up the mixer. So before you head to the stage and start plugging in all your microphones and monitors, you want to label your mixer, link any channels that you might want to do in stereo, and just make sure that you know every channel that you're plugging your microphones into. And the real takeaways from this video are: make sure that your microphones are securely set on stands, that the stands are tightened up properly, they're not going to droop over or anything like that. Be aware of where you put monitors. Always keep the artist comfortable. Sometimes it's better for them to move a monitor, and if it works, but generally speaking, you want to make sure your monitor's in the rejection zone of the microphone. Leave slack at the bottom of your microphone stands, because artists will move them and they'll move with the microphones. They might take it off the stand and go running. So if you've got a vocalist, use a long microphone cable and leave plenty of slack that they can get access to. Have power everywhere you need it, and have power handy in case someone needs it. And just make sure you've got everything on the stage ready to go, and then you can move on and we'll get into the line check. So as I said, hopefully this was helpful. If it was, please give the video a like, it helps me out, and subscribe if you want to see a bit more of this. If you want to know more about everything that's on the stage, I've got a free workshop, which I'll link to down below. But yeah, the workshop, we just cover everything on the stage: speakers, wires, connectors, signal types, that sort of thing. So if you're feeling rusty on that, or just want to touch up your knowledge, go check that one out for me. And we'll be back next time with the line check. So see you next time.